Hey, Geekscapists, welcome to a brand new Geekscape podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan London, filmmaker, storyteller, all of those things. We got a comic book coming out. You guys are like, hey, where's this comic book you've been talking about? Where's this Hero of the Prophecy comic book? Well, it took us a while to make a cover. We have a cover now. Like, we went to Comic-Con, so excited to promote Hero of the Prophecy. And then suddenly this guy, your host, had to go and have a kid. And we had an amazing kid. And now 11 weeks later, we still have a kid, but I don't have a comic book. The comic book's coming. We finished the cover, but I had to bring on an editor to help me with the book. The good news is that Dave Lamphere I don't know if he's been on Geekscape, but Dave's been great. And he worked on many former Geekscape guests' comics, including Daniel Corey with Moriarty. Dave has been in comics going back to the cross-gen days. If you're a comic book fan, you're gonna be like, cross-gen? Weren't they like a 90s company? Yeah. Cross-gen was one of those that tried to strike out in the comics in the 90s. And the 90s are kind of like the post-image 90s are for those of you who aren't in the comics in history, are a bit like a gold rush of comics. There's two gold rushes that happened in the late last century in comic books. The indie boom, which you guys know from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles coming out in, I want to say 86. Sorry, former guest Kevin Eastman, but I think it's 86. Really hitting the mainstream in like 89, 90. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles really led to like an indie boom, and you had a bunch of indie stuff coming out of it. One of the big ones that came out of that was like the establishment of Dark Horse Comics. You get Hellboy out of that one. You get Sin City. Umbrella Academy is a Dark Horse book, but those in the early 90s. And then by the late 90s, there's Marvel, DC, but then Image had really made a name for themselves. So you get a company like CrossGen being like, I'm going to get some creators. We're going to make our own indie company. And it lasted a handful of years. But no, maybe we'll do a deep dive on like the comic book climate of the late 90s and that whole cross-gen thing. But my editor, Dave Lamphere, who's helping me finish Hero of the Prophecy, he worked for CrossGen. He's told me in a most recent conversation, he's like, oh, well, back at CrossGen. And I was like, well, hold up. You worked at CrossGen? I got to hear these CrossGen stories because the CrossGen comics were good. But I don't know why the financing fell apart. They just weren't superhero comics. They were cool. They had some really cool comics. They just weren't superhero comics, but they had a shared universe. And maybe I'll have Dave on to talk about it, but Dave's helping me with Hero of the Prophecy. We're putting all the bells and whistles on it. And then I think I'm just going to skip the holidays and we'll do a Kickstarter early January to February, somewhere in there, to get you guys Hero of the Prophecy. It'll be done by the time you guys have the Kickstarter. Comic book will be ready to be in your hands. So I'm sorry, but Geekscape Comics is taking a little longer than expected. I wanted it to be done by LA Comic-Con, which you guys heard last episode or so was the LA Comic-Con live episode. I really loved that one. And I also loved last week having Aaron from In Defense of Ska on to talk about how ska is not a trend. It was not a trend of just the late 90s, but it's a 60-year long genre of music that needs your respect. So there's going to be another music episode. I think I avoided a music episode this week because I had a music episode last week, but I think I'm going to have a music guest next week as well. So I can't help it. I love music. I want you guys to love my music. I want you guys to love my friends' music. And so I want my friends who make music to come on and do the music thing. And we also need to talk some geeky stuff, guys. We haven't yet. We've been holding off on like the whole Agatha all along. That show's gotten better every single week. We've been holding off on the Penguin show over there on Max. That show's been great from the jump. And then we have a major comic book event this week. It's huge. Venom: The Last Dance. It's Venom. We got the Venom. The Venom is here. And there's already been texts back and forth between Christian Blatt, Ian Kerner, and myself about all teaming up for The Last Dance. And the texts are going around basically saying, hey, Venom 3 is out. Shall we dance? And I'm pretty sure when the lights go down and I'm sitting in the theater to see some Venom 3, The Last Dance, that as soon as those lights fade in the The theater is quiet with anticipation for the Venom 3: The Last Dance. Yours truly will wait for the perfect moment to say, let's dance. And then we'll dance with Venom 3. And you'll hear about it here on the podcast. And you'll hear what we thought of the cultural, like, big cultural event known as Venom 3: The Last Dance. All right. Speaking of cultural events, let's get Geekscape going. If this is your first Geekscape, well, you just heard me ramble for a little bit about some nonsensical comic book stuff. Yeah, we talk movies, video games, comic books, TV, video games, all that stuff that is amazing and we love. In this episode, my good, funny, very funny friend Xaque Gruber is on to talk about his independent film Sallywood that is having a little short screening over here in Los Angeles. I got the solicitation for it and I was like, hey, yo, clear the schedule. I don't care who wants to come on Geekscape. Xaque Gruber is coming on Geekscape, and I love that dude. So he's here to talk about Sallywood, which is an autobiographical, semi-autobiographical. I got to ask him how much of this stuff is true. Story about a young Zack, spelled differently, but come on, who moves to Los Angeles, much like Zack did, to pursue a career as a screenwriter, and ended up meeting his idol, his inspiration, his hero, Sally Kirkland, who, if y'all were around in the 80s, she was too, and she was actually nominated for an Oscar. She won a Golden Globe. She had her hot window there in Hollywood. And then by the time Zack met her, well, the story's a little different, but it's all in that movie Sallywood that I watched, and Zack's here to talk about it. And I love talking independent films because that's what we're trying to do right here all the time. And I love hearing from filmmakers telling me how they got it all together, inspiration, all that. So that's what we got here on Geekscape this week. I really appreciate you guys listening. I hope you love that stuff. If you do, stay right here. You're in the right spot. Geekscape, let's go. And the theme song is supposed to play. And it's let's do it again. You guys ready? Geeks. Sorry, Zack. I'm just a little shaky. Daddy brain. Here we go. All right, Geekscapists, I'm just sending off a quick email to our very own Chris Robinson, who listens to this show, listens to Horror Movie Night. I think he came to Geekscape through Horror Movie Night, but he's a cool part of our community over there on Facebook and all that. And I just want to say congratulations, Chris, on getting married. Dude, I think you got married on a very important date in Geekscape history. That date would be October 14th. And you're like, oh yeah, Jonathan, didn't you get married on October 14th? I did. But I'm also talking about Matt Kelly's birthday, October 14th. So now Chris Robinson, who sometimes is in the chat, he can join in this October 14th celebration. October 14th should just be like a Geekscape holiday at this point because we have so much going on that day. But congratulations, Chris. It's amazing. Dude, I'm super happy for you. All right. Let's get down to business. Daddy Brain is slowly clicking. I clearly found the theme song. So those of y'all watching on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, or LinkedIn, it's the economy. You guys are going to watch on LinkedIn. Are now watching the theme song, and now we got this guy, Xaque Gruber, who you're like, who's Xaque Gruber? Well, I've known him for 20 years. Like I've known some of y'all for 20 years. Zack and I were assistants in Hollywood together. And if we want to put a little Halloween theme on it, why don't we tell some Hollywood horror stories from the days of being an assistant? This is my friend Zack. He's on the show. And this is your first time on Geekscape, dude.
It is. I'm so honored. And it's such a joy to be with you.
Look at that. When I went to push the theme song, I actually pushed the background. And now the background is different. There you go. Let's put the background. Cool. Background is back to what it used to be. Yeah, okay. Yeah. But Zack, when did you leave LA? I want to ask, because not that you've left LA, because you still drop in all the time, but like,
Yeah, so it was Christmas of 2015, and my parents lived in Florida, and they needed help, as older parents do. So I went back and I fixed a dire situation with them. You know, their health was really terrible, and it was the right thing to do. But I still come to LA quite a lot, you know, for work and for my friends are here. And I was at the Hollywood Bowl last night watching Joni Mitchell and Annie Lennox, and
I
it was
saw that on
amazing.
your social media. That looked amazing. Elton John came out.
He was on stage. Meryl Streep, Wendy and Lisa from Prince and the Revolution. It was a huge group. It was like this party on stage led by Joni Mitchell, who was sitting in like a throne, and and she was singing beautifully at 80, whatever she is.
Yeah.
And you know, she almost died a few years ago, so she's just rebounded in this huge way. And she won a Grammy this year, and I'm a huge fan of hers. I'm a music guy too, so I can't wait to hear your next music show.
Yeah, I've asked a few. Yeah, I mean, doing the music videos and starting out in college radio and all that stuff, you just
I was in
yeah,
college radio too.
yeah, you just know a lot of bands, and the bands
Yeah,
end up getting better and bigger and
right.
making better music, and then you bring them out and say, hey, here are the Geekscapists, enjoy the music. And so next week I think we're gonna have another band on. But when I got that email from Karen Oberman, who's been a long time supporter of Geekscape and has solicited a lot of cool stuff to us, I said, hold on, there's a name. There's a name I want on Geekscape right there. Xaque Gruber.
I
And
had
I've been
the most fun with you,
dude,
by the way, working with you.
dude, we only worked together for like 2-3 weeks.
But you
And
made
let's hide names. Let's hide names of the people we worked with, because some
Can
of the
we?
stories, dude threw breakfast at my head. I don't know
Wow,
if you remember that.
I do. You were treated really badly.
Yeah,
And
I was
it
filling
was
in for somebody on
terrible.
maternity leave, and she was probably amazing, and I was very disinterested,
Yeah.
which was like, I went in completely opposite direction. If you have an assistant and your assistant is like really awesome,
Mm-hmm.
as she was,
Mm-hmm.
and then I come in and I don't want to be there, but I'll collect the paycheck, that's a bad situation. And so
It's
I'll
a
take
tough
some
situation.
responsibility for
Yeah,
that.
it's tough.
But the breakfast.
We sat across from each other, and you made me laugh all the time. And I think I made you laugh a lot too.
You did. You were the only person I stayed in contact with after that.
Well,
I'm pretty sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
As bad as it was, something happened as a result of that crazy experience that led to my starring on Hell's Kitchen. Do you know the Fox show?
The chef show.
Yeah, with
Did
Gordon
they
Ramsay.
shoot at the old IKEA?
Yes, yeah.
I think they shoot it at the old IKEA in Burbank now. That the IKEA has moved to their new location. I think they're like, well, okay, let's shoot this. It's not a bad idea. Let's use it as stages.
Yeah. And I ended up being on Hell's Kitchen for a few years as a recurring character. It was
I had
so
no idea, Zach. What are you talking about?
I know. It's on YouTube. It haunts me forever. I still get recognized. Basically, they needed a kind of happy-go-lucky wedding planner, party planner on their show, and they said, we want you to be the crazy, wild, happy-go-lucky party planner, and you'll be Zach, the party planner. I said, no, Zach's my real name. If I'm going to play a character on Hell's Kitchen, I want a stage name. And they said, like what? And I said, how about Francisco? And they said, Francisco the party planner, that's who you're going to be. And 12 million people saw me every episode. And it came out of that job because I said, I'm not an actor. Why are you casting me on this show? And they said, you're just hilarious. We love how you answer the phone. You're funny. I mean, I was answering a phone and making everyone laugh as I was answering the phone. I don't know. So they cast me on the show, and it was a bizarre and crazy, funny experience.
How long did that last?
It lasted 3 or 4 seasons that I was on.
Why weren't you signing autographs at Comic-Con?
Please, I know. I was a regular cast member, but the crazy thing is, everyone on that show, it's a reality show. They're all really who they are, except for me. I was like a fake character on a reality show. So it came directly out of the job, though, that I did with you, which is just sometimes you don't realize you're auditioning when you're just in your natural state.
Zach, if I had been less of a jerk and
You were
less.
not a jerk to me, though.
I know, but I liked you,
I was in love.
and your boss was awesome. Your boss was awesome, Zach. Your boss was
Oh, thank you for that. He
your
just
boss was
had the
great.
pizza the other night.
He
Actually.
did. Oh, tell him hi.
Yeah.
Be like, hey,
We'll
that
talk
guy.
about him more in a moment because
Yeah,
he figures into Sallywood. But yeah,
I think he's great, and I always thought he was great. But if I'd been less of a jerk, I could have been Francisco.
what was the
No,
breakfast they threw at your head? I'm curious.
I just remember going to the commissary, and our boss would come in straight from the gym, like
Yes,
muscle milked up with the
he was
energy
all
drinks,
buff.
very
Yeah.
muscle milked, very
Okay.
alpha before alpha was like
Yes.
dudes with Viking beards.
Yes.
You know,
No,
like
right.
now it's just balding dudes with Viking beards who listen to Joe Rogan.
Okay,
But
right.
back in the day, it was like an actual guy who's gonna like ride his, his BMW, and he's gonna be all alpha and answer the phones and this and that. And I remember just the amount of gaslighting of like, I want to help you. And I'm like, you're being so mean. It's like, but this is me wanting to help you get better. But I remember he was very health kick.
Yes.
He wanted his turkey bacon, his egg whites, turkey bacon,
Right.
no butter.
Oh, okay.
And I
You
remember,
remember that. Wow.
oh yeah, trauma does that. And I remember racing to the commissary to get the breakfast that had been ordered, and I was running late because I was new to the job. I didn't know CBS Radford very well, and by the time I got to the commissary after navigating the maze of studios, I was a little late, and I just grabbed it. I checked it. I gave it a look. Checked it. No butter. There was a stick of butter in there in a foil cube,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, did he say no butter? By that time, I'm so frazzled. I'm like shaking like a wet rat. I'm like, did he say rat? Did he say butter? No butter? I just raced it. I was like, F it. It's in a foil. Like if he doesn't want the butter, he tosses it. If he wants the butter, it's there.
Yeah. Right.
And I get it back, and I quickly like, here, master, and I put it on the desk, and I like back out of the room, and I closed the door, and I was like, okay, that went okay, good. He didn't say anything about being 5-10 minutes late. And then all of a sudden I hear this can you come back in here? Oh yeah, sure. And I walk back in, and the thing goes the carton, styrofoam carton of breakfast goes flying past my head.
That's horrible.
I thought I said no butter, and I look at this foil cube of butter, still wrapped.
Oh my
spilled out of the
gosh, it's
thing.
such
He's
bad
like,
behavior.
still hungry? Go do it again.
Oh my gosh.
All right,
That-
and yeah.
You handled it well, though.
By not murdering another human being, I think that's the only option I had.
Yeah, but you have.
Is that him? Is that him calling breakfast?
No, Sally Kirkland.
I wanted Sally Kirkland. I just wanted to keep my head down. You know what I mean? Like I think in a lot of these jobs, you just want to keep your head down because the one time I didn't stay silent and I had to fake a cough was the show, which did not have a second season. None of the shows really had more than one season except one.
Okay.
Which was a juggernaut. But like most of the shows, like you could see the posters on the wall, and it's like I never heard of these things, but like, all right. And I actually say this to Matt Kelly whenever we're thinking about a new show on the network because we have how many shows do we have now, Matt? Like 40 something shows? Wow. I don't know. We have 30 something shows, but I say this in all jest with Matt, and it's one of our favorite phrases. And it happened on this phone call. There was an interview with People Magazine or some journalist called to do the interview with this exec. And I had to listen in on all the phone calls in case it was like there's a calendar that came up that needed to be written down, like a date or something. I had to take notes on all the phone calls. And so I'm listening to this phone call, and I'm not muted. I'm just listening. No, I am muted, but I laughed so hard you could hear it in the other room. And I'm sitting here listening to this phone call, and they're doing an interview with this show that I didn't have a whole lot of hopes for. This show didn't sound any better than the weird one on the wall that I'm looking at. And I'm surrounded by. And the interviewer said, so at blank blank production company, when you make a show, she goes, whoa, let me just stop you there, honey. We don't make shows here. We make hits.
Oh, wow.
And I laughed so bad when he said that. I was like, because I'm looking at a poster for some sci-fi, straight to sci-fi channel, like what is this? Like like this isn't like whose idea was this show? Like this is just schlock. And I'm seeing schlock. I'm seeing like hold on. And then the honey. Let me stop you right there, honey. We don't make shows here. We make hits. And I laughed so effing hard.
Well, that is very funny. I mean,
I was dying laughing. Yeah. And it was like, Jonathan, are you okay? I was like, yeah, I'm just coughing. I'm sorry. My apologies. I almost died.
I remember singing songs at my laptop, and you're sitting across from me making fun of me, but it was in such an endearing, hilarious way, the things you were saying, that I still remember, actually, and how full of joy I was just to have you there in the room with me.
I would have loved if you're singing at your desk. I don't think I would have found that annoying. I think I would have found that very sweet.
You had funny retorts to the songs,
course.
And
I can't help myself.
No, and they were brilliant, and they made me laugh. Of course, they made me sing more, but yeah.
Good. Let me tell you who's singing now. Daddy here.
Oh,
dude, Heidi mentioned that yesterday. She's like, I think you sing to our baby. And I'm a terrible singer. I'm a straight up terrible singer. Never been trained, never even tried. Stay away from me at karaoke. You do not want me to come with you. I can't sing.
Okay.
But when I see that little girl, and sometimes she's upset and she doesn't like staying still too much. She's maybe like her dad. But when she has indigestion or something, and the baby wants to get rocked, and it's easier to walk around with the baby. That's tends to work. You put the baby on your arm like a football and you walk around the apartment.
Right.
And I sing to her a lot. I sing to her a ton, and not good songs, but I make them all up. I'm not gonna sing. I'm not gonna sing. Oh yeah, I'm not gonna sing Itsy Bitsy Spider. Like if she has to poop, I'm gonna sing about the poop.
Right. Okay.
I sing like a baby news reporter, but the here and now.
Fantastic.
Right. Like I'm learning daddy's skills on the fly. Right. Because I'm not a doctor. I don't know the medical terms for this and that, but I got to still talk to doctors all the time about my baby.
Brain. Yeah.
And I got daddy brain. So if I go into the doctor and the doctor's like, how are her poops? And I have to suddenly like define the thing. I can't be like, well, it had the consistency and the viscosity of the, I can describe it a little bit, but I found the most effective way to describe my baby's poops are like, if this was a salt and straw flavor,
no.
what so like, okay, she's had pistachio crumble. This is pumpkin puree. There's like a pumpkin puree kind of thing.
Okay.
I describe them like a really overexpensive piece of ice cream.
Okay.
And the doctor knows exactly what I'm talking about. She's like, oh, pistachio crumble. Okay, so there's a little bit of texture to it. I'm like, yeah. Oh, I think it's the only way as a bona fide nincompoop with no medical background. Try it, folks. If you're having kids, try the salt and straw. Well, how would this be a salt and straw flavor method to describing your kids' fecal movements?
Right. Well, she's only 11 weeks, so yeah.
11 weeks old. We've kept her alive 11 freaking weeks, and I took her to
You're doing a great job. It's a low bar, but you're doing a great job.
I took her to a punk rock show, like a punk rock listening party for an album. She had a mohawk. She has a mohawk, so like she was the punkest person there.
Oh, and I see you have little spikes too, right there. I like it.
That's just me wetting my hair and slicking them back.
Oh, okay.
Before I got to be on with Zack.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, my hair's a little slicked back today.
So Zack, you played Francisco.
I did
on
Hell's Kitchen, and I got punched in the face on.
Wait,
camera.
what?
Yeah,
but not real.
For real.
No. What are you talking about?
The maitre d', they would do these like things on camera that I had to act, goofy or drop a cake or things, and it was, it was part of the show. But
you had to practice
on camera. Didn't know that I was really just Zack being asked to be goofy.
But they're playing themselves.
They're playing themselves, and they're really high-strung. Restaurant people are very salty. They're very intense. They're very angry. They're all smoking, and they're all swearing at each other. It's a tough environment working in a restaurant kitchen. So they're tough people. And I'm coming in like, Pee Wee Herman or something, and they want to punch me in the face. So they do.
Wait, is this a plural thing? Like this happened more than once, Zack?
Well, it's really funny because if you Google Francisco Hell's Kitchen, you will see clips of Gordon Ramsay screaming at me and all these funny incidents that happened to me. And you know, I just have to laugh about it now. It's so bizarre.
But when you were there, and I've always thought about like the Gordon Ramsay thing, right? Like he is famous for yelling at people and making them cry. And I had no idea that you were there in his like trajectory, and that some of this stuff was pointed at you. How hard do you wilt when something like that? Like, is it real? Is it real, or does he put it on for the camera? Is he a nice guy, or
he's a great guy, but he's a perfection. He's a, you know, Michelin star chef. He's super, you know, perfectionist in the kitchen. My mother's a perfectionist in the kitchen. She's,
Sure.
you know, cooks Italian food, and she doesn't want anyone in the kitchen when she's in there cooking. So I get it. And you know,
but she didn't yell at you and like make you cry for like
she yells all the time. But yeah, I mean, she's Sicilian. But no, listen, it's a TV show, so of course they want it dramatic. And there's this theory that when you put a happy person in with a bunch of angry people, the angry people all gang up on the happy person and they get more angry. And of course, that'll boost ratings. So, you know, I was the sort of strange, happy character, you know, kind of floating around Hell's Kitchen, that a lot of people, a lot of the Hell's Kitchen cooks loved me, and a lot of them hated me, and they're bad mouthing me. You know how on reality shows they turn to the camera and they like, well, this is how I feel about Francisco. And then it cuts to me. It's so funny to watch the show. I'm like, that's what you thought of me. Oh my God.
Is there a defense in that you're not like, you can separate yourself from Francisco? Like at what point is the lines kind of blur? How much of you is in Francisco, I think is the question.
A little bit. But
but do you know anything about wedding planning or anything that Francisco had to do? I didn't think so, but like,
no, but you want to hear something funny?
You became that.
Yeah. The day after my first episode aired, I was in a coffee house getting coffee. And you know how they write your name on the cup when you're getting something to go? So these girls behind me go, oh my God, I'm getting married and I need help. And I'm thinking, why are they asking me?
They're being a little loud. Their affect's a little.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Am I being too loud?
No, them. Like you're sitting there.
They were being too loud.
Yeah, and you're like, why are they being? Yeah. So they're trying to get my attention.
I turned around to the girls and I said, and I realized, oh my God, they think I'm Francisco from Hell's Kitchen. They just saw the episode, and that's why they're asking me these wedding planning questions. So then all of a sudden the barista says, Zach, your coffee's ready. And they said, I thought your name was Francisco. And I said, Francisco's my real name, but Zach is my coffee name. You don't have a coffee name? And they said, no, we should get a coffee name. I'm like, yes, you should, darling. And then I just grabbed my coffee and laughed. And I thought, oh my gosh. So then they said, we need to get coffee names. I thought I've started something. So yeah.
Have you checked back in to see if the coffee names are still going?
I think it's still going somewhere. It started in Los Feliz and it's kind of moved all over Hollywood. So yeah.
You didn't want to say like Francisco's my twin or something. Like in an action movie in the 80s, if somebody gets killed off but then becomes a major star like Cheyenne Fat in Better Tomorrow, Better Tomorrow 2, Cheyenne Fat just plays his twin brother and then goes and gets revenge on the Cheyenne Fat version that was killed in the first movie. So you could have just been like,
true.
Oh, Francisco's my twin brother.
I said Francisco's too long to put on a coffee cup. I mean, of course, I'll just want Zack. So yeah, it worked out.
Spell it like a simple Zack.
No, yeah. Well, I don't have any control on how the barista spells things, you know, like ZAC. I'm fine, whatever. Thank you. Bye.
Give me my coffee. I didn't know this, Zach. As much as you would like continue to be friends we had our lives, right? But like, I had no idea you went and did this Francisco thing.
I swear I've had a lot of different hats I've worn here in this La La Land.
So now let's go to your Hollywood horror story, but may not be a horror story. You got an indie movie out of it, but some of the situations that happened in this film, I got to ask you how much of it's realistic. And I don't want to spoil the film for folks who are interested. The movie's called Sallywood. It has a limited run here in Los Angeles. It's going to be playing the limited engagement at the Lemley Town Center 5 on November 8th. And then I'm guessing it'll have some kind of VOD window, but you can definitely follow it on social media, because they've got at Sallywood movie on socials. Look there. You got a website, so you'll find out more.
Yes. So Sally Kirkland, who is this legendary older blonde actress. Well, I say older because I was a little kid, but I watched her get nominated and win a Golden Globe on TV. I watched her get nominated and lose the Oscar to Cher and Moonstruck that year. But I was rooting for Sally Kirkland because Anna, the movie she was nominated for, 1987, 88, was the first independent film I'd ever seen. And it just was such a beautiful performance. For people out there who haven't seen Anna, it's very hard to find now. But if you, like every time I go into a store that sells DVDs, I go straight to the A section.
You have
to
Anna.
see if they have Anna DVDs because I want to buy them.
You can find it on Amazon though, right, or something like this. But streaming's probably not been nice to it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's weird that a movie from 1987 has fallen into such obscurity now. That was nominated for 2 Oscars, but so I was a diehard Sally Kirkland fan. I might have been the only teenager in America who was so into her. And I had this fantasy of maybe meeting her someday, never knowing how I could, when I would. And of course, I have this fantasy that she lives in a mansion with butlers and chandeliers. And so I come to Hollywood many, many years later to pursue a career as a writer. And as soon as I get to town, one of the very first people I meet is Sally Kirkland. I mean, as soon as I get to LA, and
how did you meet her? Like in the movie, there's a pretty amazing situation where you meet her, but in this one, like
that, it was exactly like that. Yes, I went into an art gallery where she was showing her paintings. I'd found out that there was an art gallery that I didn't even know she was a painter. So
sure.
I just was like, Sally Kirkland is going to be here at this time. So I just went. And she looks at me and she goes, young man, would you take a photo of me and my paintings? She hands me one of those little Instamatic click little cameras, plastic. And I take the photo and she goes, what do you think of my paintings? Well, I'm a fine artist, actually. I mean, like by trade, I'm an art teacher and I am a painter. And so I said, I'm talking about the art, the compositions, the colors. She said, you're an artist. I said, yes. She said, you're a Virgo. I said, yes. She said, are you my new assistant? I said, yes. And she said, did God just send you into Sally's life? I said, I think God just sent us both together, Sally. She said, you start right now. I just all of a sudden was her assistant. I mean, it was just so wild. I manifested this out of nowhere.
And how many years after you saw Anna for the first time? Because you're 17, 16 when you see Anna, right?
Yeah, I was young.
You're young, and you're in high school, and and at that point, like, talk about Sally Kirkland, because like Sally Kirkland wins or Cher wins.
Yeah,
like, the gays still win, right? Like they still win.
Actually, let me tell you, that was a big year for Best Actress. It was Holly Hunter in Broadcast News, Glenn Close in Fatal Attraction, Anna with Sally Kirkland, Cher for Moonstruck, and Meryl Streep for Ironweed. So there was like 5 powerhouse actresses in that category that year. Yeah,
you can't lose. And so talk about that, Zach, because I don't know enough about you to even make a joke like that. I'm making a jest about that, but like, what do you think it was about Sally Kirkland and her performance? Like, was it easy for you in high school? Was it hard for you? Because you're in Maine, I'm guessing, or were you in Florida, or where were you? Where'd you grow up?
At that time, I was I was living in Maine, and I had seen it in a little art house cinema. And I was so excited because it's a movie about a Czechoslovakian actress who, during the communist years of Czechoslovakia, was removed from Czechoslovakia because she was a rabble rouser there. She was exiled to New York City. And she was kind of the supreme actress of Czechoslovakia at that time. But when she goes to New York City, she has to rebuild her whole career and life because nobody knows who she is. She's got this thick Czech accent. And so she means nothing to modern day Manhattan. And she ends up getting kind of, what is that called when the actress can't go on stage, so you go on stage?
She has a
standby role.
Understudy.
Yeah. So she's the understudy for an off-Broadway play, and it all falls apart. Paulina Poroskova is in the movie, and she plays the young refugee who is kind of a little All About Eve. She comes to New York City to find her idol who was exiled there, and ends up kind of stealing her life and her career. It's a really great performance by Sally Kirkland and Paulina Porskova. They are like, I just think this is
How'd
one
you
of.
even find this movie, Zach? Like, what led you to the art house to like see this movie?
So to tell you the truth, what happened was,
You know what I mean? Like I remember discovering Lucci by seeing like, oh, I'm gonna go see Stealing Beauty, but I had like a crush on Nev Campbell, right?
Oh,
And
okay.
so I go see Stealing Beauty, or I remember just going to like the Village in Austin and seeing like Bottle Rocket and
Oh,
discovering
yeah,
Wes
good one.
Anderson, or
Yeah.
discovering like and stuff, because I was like, oh, this is the place that would play Clerks, or this is the place that
Mhm.
would play like Slacker, and that's the Linklater movie, and like, but Austin was like a really conducive place to finding indie cinema, and it had indie art houses. Like growing up in Maine, even if
We
it's
have
Portland, Maine.
we have an art house cinema there. But what happened was there was this moose that was running through the street, and it crashed into my video rental store's front window, and it killed the owner of the video rental store when it saw its reflection, and it ran through the front window. And so what happened was, when the owner of the video rental store died, they changed all of their movies from VHS to DVD because there was like a new owner. And so they were getting rid of all the VHS tapes. So my father brought home the VHS tapes that nobody wanted. He went and he bought a whole bunch, and he brought home Anna. And so I was like, oh, I'll pop this in the VCR and watch it. I was a big All My Children fan. Do you remember All My Children?
It's like, hold up, you're just gonna blow past a moose murder? In Geekscapists, this is in the movie, but again, I watched the movie and I'm like, and I see the fictional Zack, and I'm like, okay, that's an interesting way to like introduce this scenario, but it was
Yeah.
real.
Yes. And
Oh my
so
God.
I was playing Anna, the VHS tape, so much that I learned all the words, I learned all the scenes. I was really it's not like I wanted to be an actor, but I was just so interested in this performance and these characters. And it was speaking to me, much like All My Children did every day at 1 o'clock on ABC.
Yo, what happened with that guy's family that owned the store? I'm a little
Oh,
obsessed with the moose
yeah, I
killing a guy.
know, I
And
know, I
there's no
know.
blood on the VHS, so the VHSs were unscathed.
Yeah, there was some blood, moose blood, and his blood.
Wait, the
But
moose didn't die though, did it?
I think the moose was severely injured and maybe did die in the video store.
What the fuck?
I know, I know.
Wait,
You know, there's
that's the most Maine thing I've ever heard. What?
I know it's super Maine. And by the way, here in LA, I'm like, in Uber cars or wherever, and they go, "Where are you from?" And I say Maine, and they're like, "Maine what?" Like they don't even know it's a
Like,
state.
they think it's like Main Street or something?
Yeah, and I'm like,
You
no,
know
it's
there's a moose crossing on Mulholland, right?
really
Okay, Zach, this is crazy, but there's a group I run with on Wednesdays, and
okay.
they go,
Like
they take,
running like a
yeah,
jogger. Okay.
and we go up the hill because it's challenging, and I don't love it, but it's like they ran out of deer signs. Like there's a
Mhm.
lot of deer signs in California, in LA, because there's a lot of deer here, and you got to be careful. You know, it's
Right.
like there's a lot of coyote signs too. And
Yeah.
if you wind your way up off of Ventura Boulevard up into the Hollywood Hills, you get to the toppity top
Yeah.
towards Mulholland, and there is a freaking diamond yellow, like you would have for a animal. Be on the lookout for an animal crossing
Yeah.
the street.
Yeah.
Coyote, we see deer. Those are the typical signs. There's one that has a moose on it.
That's wild.
Why the hell? I mean, did they just run out of signs? Like, I'm
They
like,
mu it's like a mix up, but
did
it's kind
somebody
of
see a
crazy.
moose there once?
Yeah.
Was this place inhabited by moose
Yeah.
before we encroached
Maine,
upon their territory?
it must have just somehow gotten here. I did. I don't know.
Did you put that sign up, you vandal?
Yeah, maybe I put it up. Yeah, don't tell anybody.
So you're in
Um,
these Ubers, and these guys don't know where Maine is.
they've never heard of it, and it's
Oh
a
boy.
state. I mean, it's a state. Like we have
Geekscape, this is my reminder to tell you all to vote,
pretty
please. Like in vote education, I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. Let's just understand that one of the parties wants to destroy the Department of Education, the other one wants us to have a continued democracy. So please vote, and vote for the people who are probably going to not ban books. Like, holy crap, they don't know where Maine is, or what, that it's a state.
It's a state. I know it's way off in the corner. Like most Americans never go to Maine in their lifetime because there's no major city there. There's no major sports team there. It's not on the way to anything
I
unless you're
saw it.
you're going to Nova Scotia, you know.
I was in Stowe, Vermont on a mountain and I saw it.
You
And
could
I was
see it
like, you can see
way
Maine.
over there. Yeah.
And my parents love Maine.
Really?
Yeah, my parents have been to Maine. One of my stepmom's law partners moved to Maine.
Oh wow.
And he was done with Austin, which is a cool place to live. And he moved to Maine. And my parents for a while were thinking about, do we move to Maine? Do we downgrade? Do we start to downscale things and move to Maine? And I was like, I'm staying in LA. So
you and little girl and your wife can all come visit me in Maine when you.
I heard it's amazing. I heard it's stunning. If it's anything like Stowe, Vermont, it's beautiful.
It's stunning. I mean, it's our most forested state, 90% forest, and it's the coast is gorgeous cliffs, and there's whales all frolicking, and there's
the Oregon of the East.
It is, yeah, it is, but it's less people. The whole state is one area code. So it's like this magnificent.
It's not a small state. Not necessarily a small state either.
It's not small. No, it's quite large. And it weirdly goes deep into Canada. Like the northern tip goes very far. I'm always curious about that border. Like, how did that happen? But anyway, it's got an amazing coastline, tons of beautiful islands. I'm a painter, so I love painting the landscapes and seascapes and all of that. It's inspiring to me. Yeah, it's like another planet, quite frankly. I call it the state that time forgot.
And so you've got this meeting with Sally Kirkland. She makes you her assistant, and then you start to discover the realities that she doesn't live in a mansion with a chandelier.
There's no butler. There's no chandeliers. There's no mansion. She lives in an apartment much like mine. Maybe mine is even bigger. She has no family. She is depressed. She doesn't know where she belongs in the world anymore. This is someone who I've put on such a pedestal in my fantasy mind, but when you meet your actual favorite movie star, it's sometimes really surprising how much your life is just like theirs in ways. In fact, I was in such a happy place coming to LA with, wide-eyed and excited. And she was so burned out. She needed me in a way to help her navigate her way back to working and being a, happy, fulfilled human being. Ageism is a real problem
for sure.
The entertainment industry and in every industry. So this movie kind of touches on that. She's made, oh my gosh, 300 movies. She's been in 300 movies. I know many you've seen, I'm sure. And then something like 400 television shows. And yet she feels completely erased because she doesn't have a star in the Walk of Fame. No one talks about her as the years go by. So it becomes this very lonely, sort of surreal, bizarre thing where, and she was famous. She, like you said, she had her window of fame, and then it happens to the best of them, like they forget. So she, is struggling in all sorts of ways. And then I come into her life. Maybe God did send me into her life.
Yeah.
And I come into her life and brighten it. And she brightens mine. It's a movie about friendship. It's much in a way like Harold and Maude, where you've got this young guy and this much older woman and their relationship. And it's complex and it's funny and it's rich and it's touching. And we've had great response from all the audiences.
You won a bunch of awards, dude. You played a lot.
We won 38 awards in film festivals this year.
Share some with the rest of us.
It's just it's more than I ever expected. And if you see Sallywood, please go on Rotten Tomatoes, give it a review. Go on IMDb, Letterboxd, give it a review. Because right now, those audience reviews mean a lot.
And is it going to do like a VOD thing and an on-demand thing?
Yeah, right now we're on the path to distribution. We're meeting with distributors. We haven't settled on one yet. Sure. But we're being courted, I guess you could say, by distributors.
It's not a bad place to be.
It's where you want to be. As far as just getting out of the starting gate. And the festivals have been great, but I really want to get the film out there in a big way. And so we have a week coming up at the Laemmle's Theaters here in LA, November 7th to the
8th, yeah.
Eight-
Oh,
eight-
it says 8th here in the email. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So in Encino, Laemmle's, we're playing November 8th to the 14th. And then at the West Side Laemmle's, the Royal, we're playing on the 7th. So you're welcome to come to those. Anybody who's watching, I'd love to meet you. I'd love to see you. And we'll have a bunch of cast. My cast is amazing, by the way. We have Eric Roberts, Keith Carradine, Jennifer Tilly plays my mother. I have Michael Lerner from Barton Fink and Elf. And we have Lenny Von Dolan from Twin Peaks. We have Maria Conchita Alonso, Kay Lenz. Oh my gosh, am I forgetting anybody? Sally Kirkland.
Sally's in the movie,
and Tyler Steelman is the young actor who plays me. I mean,
it's close. That casting's really good, dude. I had to do a double take. Yeah, I think it actually is.
Oh, like there they are. Okay.
I put them up on the screen for those of you on YouTube, in Facebook and stuff. But like when I started watching the movie, I thought that the acting in the casting of the younger you was pretty damn good.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a process, to find. The casting process is fascinating, how you come about to try to find just the right actor who has the right chemistry with, in my case, Sally. And she likes to audition actors on her bed.
What?
Yeah. So he went to her apartment and she was on her bed and he had to lay next to her.
When we worked, Zach, when we worked together, did you already had this relationship with Sally?
I did. Because she was one of the first people I met here. Yeah.
And then you had this relationship with Sally. You acted on Hell's Kitchen while nobody else did. And you were the one actor on Hell's Kitchen.
Yes, I was the one.
And then when that wrapped, like, what was the process of putting together Sallywood? Because all I know is, like, I think you had it in some script competitions. And I was kind of keeping up with some of the success there. And I was like, oh, go. And then suddenly you have it as a movie.
I mean, what happened was it came together rather magically and rather strangely, mystically, and organically. I was just telling the story of how I met Sally Kirkland at a friend of mine's birthday party in Beverly Hills. And the people at the party said, write that screenplay and make that movie. It's the funniest screenplay it was the funniest story we've ever heard. And I said, okay. So I just went home and I wrote Fade In. I just started the screenplay and it just kind of wrote itself because I wrote it as it happened. Verbatim. I'd even changed the names. Like my mom is Joanne in the movie. She's Joanne. Like I just
give me a percentage. The night you staying up for 3 or 4 hours with your parents on the phone with Sally Kirkland happened?
Yes, that was actually a 6-hour phone call.
Jesus Christ.
We changed it to 3 because my producers said no one's going to believe if it's 6. I said, but it was. Truth is crazier. Okay.
And then the roommate.
The roommate was Tom. My roommate was Tom. And the actor playing Tom is named Tom also.
But did Tom have the same line of work as the person in the...
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Hanging with the porn stars?
In fact, my roommate Tom hasn't seen the movie yet. I can't wait for him to see it. But he would get Spinal Taps for money. He would drive strippers around at night from party to party. He would, he had a past in and out of jail a lot. And I mean, such a different kind of individual than myself, who, was so innocent, just so innocent. And we were an unlikely, odd couple. And I love the relationship of Tom Connolly, who plays Tom, and Tyler Steelman, who plays me in the movie. It's like this lovely, unexpected sort of, brotherhood that they have. It's great.
And you write the script, and I remember you sending it off to some competitions here and there, getting it some attention. Then, hey, when does it actually turn the corner into being financed?
Okay, so dare I say that Mom financed it? I mean,
it's fun. That Jennifer Tilly.
What happened was I was watching the Oscars with my mom, and everyone's.
You're back home now. This is post 2015.
Yes.
You went back home to take care of your parents.
Yeah. This is like 20. I want to say 18.
Okay.
And I'm watching the Oscars with my mom. I love watching award shows with her. She's funny.
Did you feel when you left LA?
Yeah.
I know you're doing it for the right reasons. You're doing it because your parents are aging.
Yeah, I had
to
help
take
them.
care of them.
Right.
How did you feel? Like, how did you feel on the whole?
Going to
Well,
Florida?
just when you leave LA, when you're driving out of
Yeah.
Los Angeles, because it
Right.
was the
Well, it was
one
an
thing you
airplane, but
wanted.
yes.
The one thing you wanted was to do this Hollywood screen or anything. Not that you can't do it from everywhere now. Now you can do it from all over.
Yeah.
Like, what?
My attitude,
How'd you
I'll
feel?
tell
How
you,
did my friend Zach feel?
my attitude was my parents need me more than Hollywood, you know, and we all get breakfast thrown in our face in Hollywood. Like
Dude,
it happens. And I don't like it. And it's, you know, I don't look at people as commodities. I look at people as human beings. And so there's a mentality with, you know, working in this industry that can be really demeaning and deflating and frustrating. And my parents are my parents. They're loving. They've given me so much in my life, everything. So when they needed me, of course I just dropped my life here. I'm like, oh, I'll get back to you. And I put everything in storage, sold my car, left my job, flew to Florida, had no idea how long I'd be in Florida. I still can't believe I have a Florida driver's license. Like I'm a Floridian. Like what?
wow.
But anyway, I needed to do it, and it was the right thing to do. And actually, moving to Florida, even though it was this harrowing curveball, it gave me sort of a little bit more peace of mind, which I never had in LA, where I started to write more, swim more. You know, just I felt healthier in every way. And we're watching the Oscars and my mother goes, why are they all thanking their executive producers? What's an executive producer? I wish someone would thank me sometime as an executive producer. I said, really? You would like that? And she's like, yeah, before I die. And I said, I can make that happen.
You can make that happen by helping me make this happen.
Right. And
The
I said,
rest is history.
I
Yeah.
have a screenplay and Sally Kirkland said she's already willing to star in it. So, you know, if you help me financially to, you know, to get it going, I think we can get it going. And, you know, and then other investors came aboard and one thing led to another. And suddenly we had enough money to make this film.
And
And
you squeaked it out in 2019 before the pandemic?
yes, yeah. And then we had to do a lot of like, you know,
Sure.
extra filming through the pandemic, as well as everything else, you know, all the post.
And you do some documentary style stuff that I thought was really creative in the movie.
Thank you.
And I thought that
Yeah.
I was like,
There's a
good.
documentary
Cool.
element in there. Mhm. It is.
And
Well, Sally Kirkland's playing herself.
I know.
So that's an unusual thing. You never see actresses playing themselves in the lead role. And she does a great job playing herself.
And it's not being John Malkovich, right? Where John Malkovich is playing himself, playing in some kind of bizarre
Surreal world.
exaggeration, surreal world. But this is her playing something that
Her
actually happened to
reality.
her. How did she feel about you leaving Los Angeles?
Well, she never likes me to even leave her side. I mean, she's people said to me, they ask me all the time, how long were you her assistant? And I'm like, I'm still her assistant. Like today I was assisting her, quite frankly, a few hours
Are you serious?
ago. I think in the process of this interview, she's already called me a few times. So, you know,
Oh, was that her dinging?
yeah, yes. Yeah.
Oh,
Of
we'll put
course
it on
I'll call her
speaker.
back. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Sally.
How are you, Sally?
Yeah, she probably needs something anyway.
This is incredible, Zach. Like,
Thank
what
you.
a weird ping pong ball bounce that led you to this. And
By
as
the
you,
way, can
yes,
I
sir.
just tell you, Rufus Wainwright contributed songs to this movie, and
That's crazy.
Tony Basil, Mickey, she does the theme song, and we have a couple other great musicians. Oh gosh, Smokey Miles does the song Sallywood, which I think might be, you know, could be nominated for an Oscar because it's written for the. Like, I'm like, how far can we take this film? We could take it all the way.
Well, Geekscapists, you if you want to see it, it's here in Los Angeles. It'll be at the town center at the Lemley, starting on November 8th. And Zach, are you going to make any of the screenings? Are you going to be able
I'm
to do
going
a
to be at all
Q&A
of them.
afterward?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
just come up and say hi. I want to make friends with you, Geekscape fans.
Will Sally be at any of the screenings?
Yeah, she'll be there, and my cast will be there. Different people, different nights, so
Sure.
it'll be fun.
And we'll see how it's going. You're still writing scripts,
I am
and
always writing and
you're still
painting.
pushing.
Yeah.
Has Sallywood helped get something else kind of shaken forward?
It definitely will. You know, we're still in the process of getting Sallywood launched. And so I know it will. Of course it will. You know, I mean, I do believe in the theory of one thing does lead to another, doors open. And yeah, it's great. I feel nothing but optimistic and encouraged and hopeful right
Damn,
now.
I gotta move to Florida.
Yeah. Yeah, move to Florida.
I
It'll
think
solve all your problems. No.
I don't know, man. My parents are my
Where
mom's
are
in
your
New
parents?
Mexico. New Mexico for my mother. I'll see her here at Thanksgiving.
Okay.
And then my father's still in Austin with
Oh,
my
okay.
stepmother, but they were just here, and I talk, you know, and like Heidi's parents are in South Carolina, and you think about these things, like how much time do I have left them, and
Right.
the child has given me some intense profundity where I'm just like, oh my god, like time and
I
what we
know.
have left,
No.
and the baby was wailing the other day. Like when she gets upset, she wails. So she's usually the most 90% of the time she's the chillest kid ever. And then when she gets uncomfortable because she's still developing musculature and
Sure. She's
figuring out
11
how to
years old.
get stuff out of her system, she gets uncomfortable. Like I don't want to colic a baby, but the kid has gas and stuff like that,
Okay.
and has to figure out how to let her rip.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like 3 a.m. or so, and it's tough, and people warn you about that stuff, and I love it, but when it's tough, Heidi told me something that somebody told
I
her.
love children. I love babies.
She said, imagine you're 80 and you're not in this situation, but you look back on it and you want to. I mean, I would want to be in that situation again. Like whenever I have a stressful time with Ophelia in any place, I'm just like, okay, but one day, Jonathan, you're going to be 80 and you're not going to be able to do this, and she's not going to be this small bread loaf size thing, and you're going to wish that you were back here. So
Yeah.
be loving on it, and
Yeah.
I
I'm
love
sure you're an
all of it.
amazing father. You're going to be a great father.
Dude, we have so much fun, and this kid has seen so much, and she's only 11 weeks, which is crazy, but I do think about how much her grandparents get a chance to see her, because I
Mhm.
don't, I'm still doing this Hollywood thing, and I'm filming Sunday, and
Mm.
I'm just always trying to film projects and write projects, and so I'm still in the thick of it. So getting breakfast thrown in my head. I'm kidding. I'm a little higher up a rung,
Okay, good.
but how high up at any rung is anybody,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I do feel there's truth
Sally,
in
damn it, we're almost done. Hold on.
I know. I do feel there's truth in the fact that you can work from almost anywhere now. Yeah.
Yeah. Not saying it's gonna happen,
Mhm.
Geekscapists, but I'm saying that I don't know, man. Like the hybrid nature of creative
Mhm.
life is
Mhm.
something that does appeal to me as we keep kind of going forward and trying to figure out what's best, not just for us, but now we have to think about what's best for this beautiful bread loaf of a kid.
Oh,
Uh,
she's beautiful.
Not that we won't be at San Diego Comic-Con every summer. We still will.
Of course. Yeah, of course.
And I love doing Geekscape, and now I'm doing Geekscape remotely, and it's wonderful.
Mhm.
It's great. I can connect with everybody.
Mhm.
Anybody can do it remotely. Zach, I'm gonna see you before you go back to Florida. Okay?
I would like that.
How long are you here? Are you bouncing back and forth? Or are you here for a
I
week
am
and
a
then you're going
ping
back to
pong
Florida?
ball bouncing back from Atlantic to Pacific. So I'm here this week. We have a screening at LA Live on Friday night at 8 p.m.
Cool.
For the La Femme Film Festival. We're in a lot of festivals, and then then I go back to Maine. Then I go to Florida. Then I ping pong ball back here on Election Day week, where I'll be for the Lemley's run. Yeah, I'll be here. So I'd love to see you. I'd love to let's get tacos, whatever. I don't
Yeah,
know.
hopefully we're celebrating at your screening on the 8th. Hopefully
I'm,
we're screening.
okay.
Hopefully we're celebrating. Hopefully
Yes.
we're not about to endure another freaking whatever the heck this MAGA cult crap is. Like hopefully
We
we
don't
got
know
our
what's
heads up.
yeah. But you know what? I'm an optimist, and I'm a very I don't even know how to think a negative thought. I'm such an optimistic
Damn. Break me
person.
off whatever the hell that is.
Yeah, I don't know. I should bottle it and sell it. I don't
Please?
know.
Yeah,
Okay.
please.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna drink some of that June 8th.
Okay.
And we'll plan it. I mean, with June, that's a big week. On the 3rd, I've got the premiere of this Selling Superman docuseries that our friend Adam, I think I'm in some of it. Geekscape's in some of it. Adam's started developing that docu project and involved Geekscape early on. It's about the guy who inherited one of the most valuable comic book collections of all time from his father, who was bipolar and really, like, it was a rough childhood. And then when the father died, they realized that his comic book collection is one of the most valuable on the planet.
Wow.
And what do you do with a legacy like that? And it's a really cool project. That premieres the 3rd. I think the 4th is the In Defense of Ska signing that we promoted last week. And then we got Election Day. And then if we're not in the Purge, you got Sallywood on,
Yeah,
on the 8th. What a week. What a week.
It's a week. Yeah.
What a week. I'm ready. Geekscape
ready.
week.
Here we
Geekscape
go.
week. We're ready.
Yes.
Dude, Zach, thanks for coming on, man. Thanks for sharing some stories.
London, I love you.
I love you, dude. Start singing, and I'll do a little bit of repartee, and we'll just keep it going like it used to be.
Okay, yeah.
When we had desks across from each other. Thanks for doing this, dude.
So
Geekscapists. The movie is called Sallywood. I want you guys to go to social media and follow Sallywood Movie. And it has a website at
Sallywoodmovie.com. And all the upcoming show dates are on that website, always updated.
Phenomenal. And Geekscape, you know where to find us. We have social media everywhere. Search for Geekscape and listen to some of our other shows. So we got everything: horror movies, wrestling, music, filmmaking, everything, TV reviews. I think the next episode I'm going to try and squeeze you guys a little Venom: The Last Dance. Zack's not gonna come see that with me. Okay. And then we got another episode. I think the next thing you guys are gonna get is me experiencing Venom: The Last Dance. So thanks for that, Geekscapists. I do it to myself, but I do it out of love. All right. Don't hate, create. And thanks, Zack. We'll see you guys next time.
Thank you.